afternoon, Jack Churchill. How are you?
That was just Junior Wells playing Snap It Back and Hold It, which is, if you
Snap
want to
It
hear the
Back
whole
and Hold
thing,
It,
do a
right.
search.
It'll be our intro and our outro music, right?
It's
Junior
a,
Wells.
it's a wonderful, funky blues riff.
Yeah. And speaking of funky blues riffs, we got all sorts of funky stuff going on in D.C. this week. It's like we spoke each other Monday, and I guess two of the biggest stories in presidential history happened in between then.
Yeah.
And I've almost forgotten about them.
I know. Do you want to use your headset? Is it better, do you think, Seth?
Can you not hear me okay?
Yeah, just try it. It could be sharper.
Is it better if I lean into the camera?
Of course it is.
All right. Can you hear me better now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I heard you before. Apologies for last week. We're having audio feedback loop problem, which hopefully we have solved. If we haven't, please comment on it. But I think it's gotten better. We're dealing with the technology.
Yeah, I think we straightened out a couple of bugs. We had a viewer give us some feedback that was very useful, and then on the video that we played, the brilliant Sir Ken Robinson's brilliant talk to the RSA. And we played that, and there was some video problems. So forgive us. We got that straightened out. We're trying not to trip over each other. Well, Jack, in the news today, Jack.
Yes.
In the news today. Pardon me. Pardon me? What were you saying? Are you kidding me? Pardon me? Are we selling pardons out of the White House?
That is probably the most blatant, stupid thing. If this turns out to be true, there's no red line on this guy. There's no rev limiter. Can you imagine?
I can imagine, but I also think that we have, some pretty big issues with the difference between a criminal. The big issue like 2 days ago was, is Donald Trump going to pardon himself? Can he pardon himself? Is he going to pardon himself?
Right.
And now I'm kind of wondering if that's something that's even possible. Now, has Donald Trump poisoned the waters of his own self-pardon?
That's a really interesting idea. I know Rachel was addressing this last night in terms of pardoning his family.
What was her take on that?
I'm sorry.
What was her take on that?
The idea is this when you present a pardon, it has to be very specific verbally. It has to really describe what the person specifically is being pardoned for. So The problem is, if they deny any crime, what are you going to pardon them for?
Well, I'll give you the way the AP is reporting it, and I'll read it to you. Mm-hmm. This is this morning's coverage. The Justice Department is investigating whether there was a secret scheme to lobby White House officials for a pardon, as well as a related plot to offer hefty political contributions in exchange for clemency, according to a court document unsealed.
So would this would involve all sorts of people who were at the White House, those that still are, and those that are no longer there. There's a huge list.
It doesn't include Rudy Giuliani.
I think it does. Obviously, he's one of the ones that's being considered with the family. Whereas I don't think Jared is.
What are the words to throw the Jew in the well again? What are the
words? The Jared problem.
The Jared problem. You were waiting for the anti-Semitism to show up in full-fledged. Now it's going full bore there.
The thing about it is, Trump has been very careful not to step over that line because of Israel. And he would have, otherwise he would have, we would have seen the trains being loaded years ago, buddy.
Yeah, this document that was released yesterday that this story is all about. The document that was released by the judge. Interestingly, the judge in the case is the one that, and it's a fairly well-known judge in the federal court system. The judge in the case was the one that insisted on it being public. Both sides were kind of, really? We're going to make this public? Yeah, we're going to make this public. So the judge was the impetus behind this. So there is presumably such risk to our Constitution that the judge in the case was like, oh, well, this is from August, right? So the judge said, well, we're going to wait until after this election. But guess what, Skippy? Guess what? We're going public with this. And there's no getting out of the way. The document from August, the article goes on, does reveal that certain individuals are suspected of having acted to secretly lobby White House officials to secure a pardon or sentence commutation, and that in a related scheme, a substantial political contribution was floated in exchange for a pardon or a reprieve of sentence. So this kind of gives us a little bit of breadcrumbs.
Maybe? It does, but Seth, keep in mind, he's going to need a blanket pardon, okay, for some of these people, because once again, they've never admitted to committing a crime or been indicted for that crime. So how do you write a blanket pardon? Does this include when you're 10 years old cheating in the back of the class? I mean, what does this involve? All future crimes? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Pardon you. Pardon me. Pardon you. Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani also doing his very best to keep his fingers in this pie as well. Rudy Giuliani, ran the Southern District of New York. And is obviously in discussions about a prophylactic pardon as well.
Right.
Rudy Giuliani ran the Southern District of New York. Rudy Giuliani knows what he did in office. Mm-hmm. Rudy Giuliani isn't a babe in the woods in terms of the usefulness of a pardon. So Rudy Giuliani pretty clearly is a guy who perceives himself to be in tremendous jeopardy. What is it that Rudy Giuliani's worried about?
That's true. As Barat said to him, 15 is too old for you.
Well, the article is in the New York Times, and of course, it's in the New York Times updated this morning. Presidential transition. Trump has discussed pardons for his 3 eldest children and Rudy Giuliani. President Trump has discussed with his advisors whether to grant preemptive pardons to his children, his son-in-law, and to his personal lawyer, Rudolph W. Giuliani. And talked with Mr. Giuliani about pardoning him as recently as last week, according to people briefed on the matter. Who are these people in the White House that keep releasing this information?
A couple of things. Number one is preemptive pardon. Doesn't that sound like the Minority Report to you?
Yeah, it does. But it also, in reality, in not bizarro world, yeah. But the Republicans elected a crime boss to the White House, and an ignorant one at that. And this just sounds like what would happen if a Russian mobster from Brighton Beach got to be in the White House. Mr. Trump has told others that he is concerned that a Biden Justice Department might seek retribution against him by targeting the 3 oldest children of his 5 children, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, the 2 who are advertisements from modern orthodontia, and Ivanka Trump. As well, here's the part that you love, as well as Mr. Trump's, Mrs. Trump, Ms. Trump's husband, Jared Kushner, a White House senior advisor. Donald Trump Jr. has been under investigation by the Robert S. Mueller III, the anemic Robert Mueller III investigation, unless, of course, those sealed indictments that we were talking about get released. But doesn't that put us in a position of sounding like Trump supporters? Don't we sound like Trump supporters when
we do?
Those indictments are going to come out any time now.
Who was it that said that so-and-so should be shot in the head?
It was one of their religious leaders.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could remember exactly which chapter and verse Jesus said that in the Bible.
You're asking the wrong Episcopalian Princeton WASP.
Yeah, well.
Okay, now I'm sorry. What was that? Was too quick.
We're talking about a mafia family. Jimmy wants to know are we talking about the mafia version of family? Yeah, we're talking about an organized crime syndicate right now.
Yes,
and this administration. I disagree, Jim. I think they are the worst at keeping secrets, and I think that's exactly what you were saying, that they are the worst at keeping secrets.
The Trump family is a organic RICO.
For us, they're an orgasmic RICO.
Yes. Organic RICO organism.
God, these people are just great.
They are.
These people are fantastic. Jack.
Yes, Seth.
It's almost too wonderful. I sent you yesterday. I'm going to try and get you the link that I can put up on the screen. I sent you an auction that was going on. One of these closeout auctions. They don't have the picture of them. The bidding has ended on this auction. I'm gonna put this up on the screen for you just so you can see it.
Did they say how much it went for?
Yes, I'm gonna tell you. Oh, the hammer price isn't even here.
Oh.
You can't even get the hammer price. Oh, what a shame. I wanted to share that with you. Yeah, the hammer price isn't available, but had you had your wits about you and bid at when I asked you to, you too could have had this. If you can blow that
needs to be a bit larger. It is a Ford 150.
Yes, approximately 45 optic crystal pickup trucks with case were available at this auction house that I get a lovely email from. I get emails from all these different auction houses. When I first started to want to buy, ammunition online, So is there anything that is more accurately emblematic of the Trump supporter than a crystal Ford F-250 or 150, an optic crystal? Jack, can you describe what optic crystal is?
I think it's plastic.
Optic crystal is plastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, before we get any farther, Jim wants to nail your pronunciation of Mueller.
Yeah.
Okay. And for that, Jim, we don't like corrections, but the fact that Bob Mueller went to Princeton Day School. So the question is, did you know him, Jim, or was he in Ted's class? Or that is amazing. If he didn't play hockey, nobody will remember him, because in private school in Princeton, that's the way you get known, is to play hockey. Isn't that right, Jim? Like the Cooks?
Yeah. Yeah. So in the world of the Trump voter, tragedy upon tragedy upon tragedy in the news stream, I can't forget about that nurse in South Dakota, where she's on, people are on their deathbed. The White House COVID task force is now telling us that we are in deep, deep doo-doo. And, these people still don't want to believe that there's a disease. They don't want to wear masks because they have a news feed that is just divorced from reality. And here it is. Here is
weekend after a grueling year. Let's be honest.
Here's Sean Hannity. I'm going to play you the entire clip from Sean Hannity. This is what Donald Trump plays to his. I'm not going to play you the entire clip. It's 7 minutes long. Here, let's take a little listen as to what the news universe on the other side of the field sounds like. This is what Fox News is sharing with the world. The incredibly popular Sean Hannity. The only thing that I am jealous of Sean Hannity for is his amazing head of hair.
Isn't it wonderful? I mean, he's one of the few that don't have bad hair.
Oh, he's just spectacular. Look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful, bushy, coiffed hair. He can do so much more with it.
Yeah.
So much more. Anyway, here's Sean Hannity. Hold on a sec. I'm going to play the audio, and we'll just stay quiet for a sec. I'm going to mute us as it goes on.
You know, I want to start with this. Over the holiday weekend, not interested, nor do any of us should be interested in what they tell us they find offensive. The sanctimonious, high-minded, phony concern all of a sudden about American democracy. We, frankly, don't need lectures about truth, about integrity from what is a depraved group of Democratic donors, the media mob, and Democrats that never accepted the results of 2016, ever.
Alex says he can't hear anything. Can you hear anything now?
For 4 years on the most spectacular level. They dragged this country through hell with Russian lies, conspiracy theories, and a hoax they pushed for years. It was all a lie. They all advanced the lie. They all advanced the conspiracy theory. There was never Trump-Russia collusion. 4 investigations, no collusion. They peddled that phony Clinton bought and paid for dirty Russian disinformation dossier. The one that I mentioned claimed that Donald Trump had hookers urinating in his bed in the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow.
Now, Jack,
yes,
have we disproven any of what Sean Hannity alleges? Has there, every time I get into a fight with one of these people on Facebook, I get the following rejoinder. Hey, where's the proof in court?
You know, you make the self-destructive mistake of talking to these people.
No, it's not a mistake.
I think it's a mistake.
It's not a mistake. You know why?
Why?
Because I learn about these people when I speak with them. I'm not afraid of these people. I'm not afraid of their ideas. The more I understand them, the better armed I am to defeat them, which is what we've been doing nonstop, 24/7.
True, Seth, but don't you feel like you're just kicking the side of an aluminum silo the whole time?
No, know yourself and know your enemy. And in 1,000 battles, you will never lose.
I agree that. I think that at this point, obviously we're still searching for motivation for supporting Trump.
We're searching for motivation, huh?
Yeah. For supporting Trump. In other words, what drives these people? This has been a 4-year search for us, Seth. Okay. And we've really put a lot of the puzzle together. There are a couple of pieces missing, but I think that's biological.
Okay, so let's get back to what the aforementioned Mr. Hannity was talking about and hear him out. Let's see what the rest of his statement of the state of play sounds like.
Courtney says, "Know thyself."
Truth to the American people for 3 years, peddling those lies. They had no problem with the phony dossier. They never retracted their phony stories. They didn't care that phony dossier was used to secure FISA warrants to spy on a presidential candidate and then a president for 4 years. So all of you in the media mob, oh, this is a threat to democracy, asking questions about election irregularities. Save us your phony BS lectures. They are meaningless to the rest of us. You dragged this country through hell. You did it again with your phony Ukrainian impeachment witch hunt.
Okay, let's stop there because it's too good. That is absolutely key to how these people are attacking this issue now.
Okay, let's recognize Courtney's comment.
Yeah, well,
because you and I can go on, Courtney, ad infinitum about this, and
it's not
Trumpism.
It's not Courtney, dude. It's not Courtney. The more disturbing news about who this is it's Steve Pixley using Courtney's phone.
You know, that comes under the topic of knowing thyself, Seth.
It does. Yeah. Well, Steve, it's a quote from, how about this drop off right here, Jack? How about this drop off?
Okay.
Is this your worst lighting nightmare right now?
You know something? It's in fact gorgeous because the angle is perfect. The exposure is under control. I love the look, Seth.
It's searing my right retina.
It may, but it's how you look. It's not how your retina feels.
I'm going to stop fighting it, darling. I'm going to stop fighting it.
Okay, wait, hang on one sec. We got to address Steve.
Do we?
Yeah,
do
I know. It's hard. It's hard. Anyway, Steve, we've been talking about this ad infinitum, and that is my whole thing. Is the problem with these people is they don't know themselves. Not only do they not know them, they are absolutely unwilling to take even a sideways glance at what it is that really motivates them, because it is so fucking horrible.
Well, let's just talk about the projection and now it is so valuable watching Hannity. And this is why I'm telling you, you just asked, why do you engage with these people? Why would you watch Fox News? Well, Jack, here it is. Here's why we would watch Fox News. We would watch Fox News because Sean Hannity has just given away the game.
But he's given it away. He and everybody else has given it away so many times before, Seth.
Right. And that's why Trump is not in office now, dude. Or that's why Trump will be out.
I agree. But what I'm saying to you is it's not that of course you have to know your enemy. But at this point, after over 4 years, we know him pretty intimately.
We know him. We don't know them.
Him, I mean her, them, Trumpettes, Trumpers, the whole gang. Okay, we understand. I mean, you have a political perspective. I tend to gravitate towards psychological analysis. So when you first said to me
many times before, that's essentially dicing that onion two different ways.
Well, I think one is,
no matter which way you do it.
I think one is an evidence of the other. Politics is symptoms. You can see symptoms of what I consider social mental illness.
Right.
Because
and this is cultural mental illness that we're experiencing.
Yes, exactly. Oh, by the way, have you watched Hillbilly Elegy on?
No, not only have I watched Hillbilly Elegy,
you've read it.
I read Hillbilly Elegy, and I begged you to read Hillbilly Elegy.
So I know. Anyway, I
watched.
After
the late Leonard Lookner begged me to read Hillbilly.
Okay, so I watched it last night, and the director, what's his name? Did Stand By Me, Ron Howard. So I think the Onion posted today and said, "Don't criticize this film. You fucking try to make a feature film about hillbillies." And, I understand that from the Onion because the film he's a good director. I mean, a very good director. But
Ron Howard is not a good director.
Oh, yes, he is. I'm sorry.
He directed Apollo 13. And Ron Howard, are we going to go over Ron Howard? Are we going to discuss how Sean Hannity is ruining the world? Or are we going to criticize Ron Howard's IMDb?
Well, here's the thing. Criticizing Hannity, that's the low-hanging fruit of the world, okay? Yes, it is, Seth. Yes, it is. I mean, this guy, I mean, it's like Stephen Miller, criticizing Stephen Miller. I mean, he's right there in front of you. You want to kick his teeth in, but you can't. It is what it is. But talking about Ron Howard as a director, you're right. He's not like Alphonse Cuarón or Iñárritu or one of these just incredibly talented directors. But what he is a rock solid director when it comes to understanding and dealing with Americana. You've got to admit that.
Opie Cunningham. He directs like Opie Cunningham.
Opie Cunningham.
He was Opie from the Andy Griffith Show, and then he was Richie Cunningham.
Oh, I know that. I mean, true, but we're talking about a guy who went on to be a good director.
Patrick said,
Hannity is slow hanging.
Wouldn't that be infuriating too if he had like a giant schwanz to go with that fantastic hair? How is it these people get all the goodies and I'm bald and perfectly average in every possible regard, including my high blood pressure? What the fuck happened?
Well, I have to tell you, Seth, in terms of intelligence and humor and ability to handle narrative, you are very above average.
That's average. True, and I have a beautiful wife too.
You do, and you may have a tiny schwanz, but that's okay.
I have a perfectly average schwanz. As a matter of fact, you can see me on YouPorn. Did I ever tell you that you can see me in action on YouPorn? I just wanted to see how far I could push you.
Yeah, I got it. So anyway, back to Hannity. He is low-hanging fruit. Come on, buddy. It's much more interesting to watch somebody like Barr, who's in the middle of a conflict. Okay.
What happened there? Well, let's skip forward to that story, man, because that is amazing.
Go for it.
What happened there? Bill Barr, yesterday, as the guy, I mean, we got to get to, on top of that, we got to get to new phone, who dis, the Arizona governor, putting Trump on mute in the middle of signing the end of his political career. That was fabulous. But as he's putting Trump on mute, Trump's own Roy Cohn, Bill Barr, Roy Cohn, my grandfather knew Roy Cohn. Of the people on this planet that my grandfather loathed, there was Roy Cohn, right? And right beneath him was Hitler. Oh, boy, did W.B. Richland hate Roy Cohn because they were from the same circles.
Sure. So,
New York Jewish lawyers.
So, to get back from memory lane, tell us about Barr as he's walking over to the White House because he's been called by Trump, and then it comes out in the news that, in fact, he said that the election was fair.
Well, and wouldn't you know it, I have a little link that I had for myself for the Bangor Daily News. Of course, I want to read it from our hometown paper here. And why would the Bangor Daily News load the first time? Of course it wouldn't load the first time. Washington.
It's coming all the way from Bangor, buddy.
That is right. Right. They got to turn the squirrels up. The Justice Department has not uncovered evidence of widespread voter fraud that would change the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Attorney General William Barr said Tuesday. He said it. His words came out. To date, we have not seen fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election, Barr told the Associated Press. By the way, interesting that he should tell the Associated Press that, because the Associated Press is one of these agencies, news gathering agencies, that is renowned by both sides as playing it fairly down the middle.
Oh, Martha is with us. Seth, Martha is with us.
Hi, Martha.
Say hello to Martha.
Hi, Martha.
Hiya.
Martha, as we were saying about Bill Barr, Martha, I wonder if Martha has any Bill Barr themed oil paintings. At any rate, Bill Barr, at the same time, none of this happens in a vacuum, man. I mean, we're sitting here reading our news feed, but all of these revelations for these people come out in situ. They know exactly what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Barr knows exactly what's going on with Trump calling the governor of Arizona and going on mute.
Could you, Seth,
I
before Seth,
I've got a clip of it somewhere. Just let me find it.
Seth, yeah, let me just preface this to say, can you imagine Donald Trump on the phone and he's calling this governor? He's impatient, he's angry, he's pissed, he's whatever else he is, and he hears, "Please hold, your call is important to us."
New phone.
Do you have it, Seth?
New phone, who dis?
Yeah.
New phone, who dis? And this guy had and I got Neil Katyal. I got Neil Katyal's tweet of it, and it says, "He'll get back to you." Back in July, Governor Ducey said he changed his White House ringtone to let's see if I can
hail to the chief.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. To hail to the chief, so he wouldn't miss a call from Trump or Pence. So as he's signing, and I guess I'm not going to have the video clip from it, as he's signing the certification of Arizona votes, he reaches into his side pocket because he felt the phone buzz, and he takes it out, and it's playing Hail to the Chief, and he hits it on mute, silences it without even looking at it, and puts it to his right and continues to go through flipping the pages. Can you imagine the apathy that's going on in the White House right now?
It's on video. I mean, you can see it on video. We hear who it is because he's changed the phone. So we know that he knows who it is, and he doesn't want to get, and he doesn't say, "I'll call you back." He just puts the phone down, which of course kills the call.
New phone, who dis?
Yep.
New phone. I don't know who you are. Who dis? I'm sorry. I picked this up at Verizon. I got it on Google, on eBay. I picked up this phone on eBay. It must still have the old number. I have no idea who you are. So that, now that everybody is getting tired of being emotionally abused by Trump, and now that his overall importance in the world of Republican politics is taking a nosedive, and now that they're starting to see some numbers go the opposite way, I guess there is a limit to which these Republican state administrators and Republican politicians are willing, as long as you're not in the United States Senate. Those people are perfectly quiet, aren't they, Jack?
They are. I had a vision of Trump last night. Somebody makes an ice sculpture, and it's done, and it sits in the sun, and it starts dripping down itself, forming sort of crevices, pools under it, marks as it drips down and starts to disappear. And then occasionally a whole chunk will fall off somewhere. And that's the way I see Trump, is all of a sudden, and that phone call was a little chunk of his ear that slid down over his shoulder. What was that comment?
Martha was saying that for Bill Barr, you just mix up a bunch of muddy colors. Jack, it occurs to me that this is all like Apprentice season 5.
Yeah.
Yep. And the Nielsen ratings are, the level of support that this guy's able to engender. When he was on the Apprentice season 1, and everybody was watching the season finale with that poor schlep Bill, the poor schlep, that when he showed up in season 2 looked like Trump had sent him down to Brighton Beach to talk to Vladimir's proxy,
the taxi king.
He looked a little scared.
Yeah.
This guy. Oh, Bill didn't look so happy anymore, Jack. Bill looked a little scared in season 2 of The Boardroom. And then, and then at the time, Jessica had this wonderful quote. Whenever something was a certainty, Jessica would say, even we're walking down the street, if we had to do something, Jessica would say, you had to do it, Mr. Trump. You had no other choice.
Yeah.
You had to fire him, Mr. Trump.
You know what I really can't believe, Seth? I've never seen that show. I can't believe that you watched it.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Okay, I'm waiting.
You can't believe that I watched it?
Yeah.
Of course I watched it.
Really?
It was extremely compelling TV. Not only did I watch that, I listened eagerly to Donald Trump's interviews on Howard Stern. You got to get to know the man.
Sure, but that's passive viewing. I mean, Howard Stern, you're driving up to location in Westchester. What the hell else are you going to listen to but Howard Stern?
And why not?
I agree.
Fabulously entertaining. And just so you're wondering if you're the only one that didn't watch The Apprentice seasons 1 and 2, the answer comes from Martha, and it's yeah, of course I watched it. Yep, I watched it. So, Mr.
Martha, don't admit to this kind of thing on the air. You
Why
really
not?
can't.
Why not? If it paints you in a bad position, why not?
Because I didn't watch it. I feel so much worse about myself, Seth.
I know. Well, you should probably feel better. You were probably doing something like actually reading or something like that.
I was probably doing something that it was ultimately much more satisfying. And yeah.
I can't imagine. Now I'm wired into this culture. But I've been watching Donald Trump for, since the 1980s. I mean, I worked for the guy in 1988, 1988, 1989, and learned to loathe him as rational thinking people do.
Mm-hmm.
And Donald Trump's just a horrific human being. And he always has been a horrific human being.
I saw the other day, and I can't find it now. There was an article in one of these news things about how great it was to live in Sweden. A guy wrote an article about how great it was to live in Sweden. He said, I make this much a month. I have to pay this much in taxes. It was about a third. Okay. And as everybody knows in the United States, if you get a W-2, you're not paying too much less than that. And then he talked about all the things he got for it.
Yeah. Well, I was on Twitter the other day, a few weeks ago, and there was a white supremacist Trumpist trolling the New York Jets Twitter feed, and he said something kind of anti-Semitic, and I reported it to Twitter. Twitter just tells me, hey, congratulations. The account has been suspended. Thank you for your help. Chalk one up for the good guys, Jackie boy.
I know.
Chalk one up for the good guys. Okay.
Let's leave politics for 1 second. I want to talk about a few things.
Go ahead. Jack, do I have links? Do I have links for these things that you want to talk about?
The show is going in the wrong direction. Okay.
That's my
okay. So I get seasick on a wet lawn. I hate boats. The only thing I really like is going out with Ramiro Dar on the Angelica, which is a cool boat. Ramiro is the captain of the Surprise and the Angelica, and he is the coolest shit on the planet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's some cool people in Camden, but this guy takes the cake. He in terms of being cool. So anyway, I don't like boats except going out with him, and that's the feeling of putting one of these multi-ton babies up on the edge in the wind. I get why people like sailing, but that's just a preface. I happened to watch 3 or 4 years ago the America's Cup in San Francisco, the race with the catamarans, and I've got to tell you, I don't give a shit about this sport. I was riveted. It is the coverage, the creaking Kevlar cables, the creaking carbon fiber. These animals cost $100 million each, okay? Ellison had the American one, the Oracle. He looks to me like a bit of an asshole. It's fine. But these new monohulls, okay, which is a single hull with these wings on it, you got to get into this shit. It is so cool. You talk about future cool technology, Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
This shit is so cool, Seth. And I don't even like boats, and I am riveted to it. So when the America's Cup comes, I guess it'll be in because the Kiwis won it. They were down in the races. They were down 10-0 to the Americans, and they came back and won it 11-10. How cool was that? Anyway,
Well,
guys, even if you don't like boats, this shit is awesome. Sorry, I had to interrupt that because
that's okay. That's okay. I can do a topic that we wanted to talk about that has to do with you getting seasick. This is the Verrazano Narrows Bridge in the wind that we had the other day. Look at this.
oh my God.
Oh,
Oh. Unbelievable, Seth.
so Jack,
Unbelievable.
So what they do is they close the bridge, right?
Fuck.
But world famous funeral director Chris Kassler, my friend Chris Kassler, the funeral director who is from Brooklyn, New York, who I grew up with, one of my best buds. He reported last year that the demand for space for the people that were dying of COVID fundamentally changed his business forever. It also fundamentally changed the funeral business in New York forever. And it was nothing short of horrific. And we're approaching that again. The very same Chris Kassler happened to have a body in transit on the bridge at that exact same time. And people stopped their cars and started running for either end of the bridge, and they finally got their cars off, and they closed the bridge as a result. But
Was that the wind, Seth?
that was the wind over the Verrazano Narrows in New York Harbor, several miles south of the tip of Manhattan, going out to
Staten
the
Island.
Atlantic Ocean, and Staten Island on one side, and Brooklyn Bay Ridge on the other side.
So, Seth, you know what intrigues me about that is the sound. Now, that's when we talk about that sound in the America's Cup, because they have mics all over the place.
Yeah.
Jimmy Golden, who you've met, my dear friend, was 9/11 happened. He gets out of the subway. He sees all these people, and I think it's where's the mayor's mansion?
Gracie Mansion?
Yeah. And
Upper East Side?
no, sorry, no, down on the east side. What's the name of the? Oh, God, the mayor's office. Sorry, not the mansion.
City Hall is
City Hall. Yes.
At the base of the Brooklyn Bridge.
He gets out there. He has to step over an aircraft engine. Everybody's running down in the subway. He doesn't know what happened. He's been on the subway coming down from Grand Central Station. He walks across. He goes to his office. He sees the smoke and everything. And he's in his office. And he's built this beautiful oak table in his office because he likes working with wood. And one of the buildings, the first building, comes down. His office is 1 or 2 blocks north of the World Trade Center. He gets under the desk, and he said the sound of this coming down was like the sound of hell. And it involved frequencies and tones that the ear has never heard before because of the magnitude of what was making the sound. And I was thinking of that same thing, listening to the sound of that bridge. It's like the sound of the apocalypse.
Somewhere behind me, you see all these books that I have here. These are the same books that I brought with me from Brooklyn. And somewhere behind me, I haven't had the heart to try to find it again. I lived on 32nd Street between Avenue M and Kings Highway on September 11th. And what we forget is the massive cloud of debris that enveloped Brooklyn and fell on Brooklyn and Queens. And as I stepped outside, the eastern edge of that plume was right over our house. And by about an hour or an hour and a half after the collapse, paperwork started falling from the sky. And the paperwork was seared on all sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I pick up a piece of paperwork from my lawn that had been burned by the jet fuel in the explosion and then expelled out into the atmosphere. And it was a page from a contract with Madonna and Madonna Sicilione, the singer.
Really?
Yeah. And I took it inside and I thought to myself, I'm going to want to look back at this one day. But it also had that fine grain powder on it. And that fine grain powder is the material that got jettisoned out into the atmosphere as well. A lot of asbestos, a lot of cement powder, a lot of pulverized human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that was in those buildings became pulverized by the tremendous kinetic force of it crashing down to the floor. It's a day
Right.
I'll never forget. It's a day that's responsible for me living in Maine, and it changed the course of the rest of my life.
I think everybody, did you ever see a play called Kennedy's Children? It's wonderful. It's just people talking in a bar. And they did a film about it. It's called Kennedy's Children. And it's everybody talking about where they were when Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
I watched Ruby shoot Oswald live on television. I remember where I was over at my friend's house. And boy, did we jump out of our chairs because it was live. And live television back then wasn't. You know, it was the first live broadcast ever done.
What's that?
It was the little girl that fell in the well in Pennsylvania.
I actually know that. Yeah.
That was the first outside broadcast of anything that was ever done.
We spend so much time thinking about people that aren't here anymore. And, you know, of course, we were just talking about September 11th. September 11th, the number of American deaths every day now is approaching that of a single September 11th. We have a September 11th on a daily basis.
Yes, that's true. And it just happened today.
Yeah. And you know what, Jack? You know what I was thinking? How about all the people who died of COVID or being indoors or a broken heart or whatever? How about all those people that died without getting to see what happened to Donald Trump?
I know. And a lot of us, as we get older, this whole Trumpism thing has made us much more aware of our limited longevity, and we truly want to be around. I know Harvey said that it's very important for us to see the end of season 5.
It's interesting. You know, they never got to, you know, for example, I've been a Jets fan for 55 years. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. You got people that are never going to see the Jets win a Super Bowl. They got people that are Detroit Lions fans. It's just, that's not the way the universe works.
How about that's like waiting for Columbia's football team to win a game?
No, it's actually like waiting for Godot. That's what it's actually like. Jack, here's an interesting news item that I'd like to talk to you about. Sure. I'm going to put an image of it up on the screen, and we're gonna talk about this. And it goes hand in hand with another news item that we were talking about recently: alien art You know that alien art that was found in Moab, Utah.
Yes.
And it was a piece of alien art that showed up in the desert, and there were people from the Department of Land Resources in Utah. And now what I'm going to do is there is a German giant penis.
Why the American stripes on it? I want
the
to
American flag in the background. You like that? That's our new background.
Oh, it is. Okay, great. It works perfectly just in terms of composition and color coordination and everything. It's a very good choice.
Isn't that great? Much like everything else German, it too is now American.
Okay, so
look at that schwanz, that tallywhacker there, Jack.
It's
that
small.
Is a carved penis. Nobody knows who did it. It just showed up in the woods one day. And much like the artwork in Moab, Utah, it too now is gone.
Oh,
now,
really?
Yes, it has been sawn off and stolen. It had been there for years. And the Moab, Utah artwork is gone. And now this is gone. And that's my question is, for the Germans, again, realistic, how long do you expect an erection to last?
That's almost funny.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Now, Patrick notes that the piece in Moab had rivets.
Oh.
And my question for Patrick is, don't you think that aliens use rivets?
You said something the other day. We were talking about...
Alex thinks that Ruth Ginsburg stole the penis.
Yes. So I don't think exactly that was the comment. But remember we were talking about Grover's Mills, New Jersey, Seth.
Yeah.
And you said something very funny.
Well, it's like the War of the Worlds broadcast, right? When you remember where you were when Kennedy died. You remember
That's
where you
exactly
were
right. So Grover's Mills is in fact maybe 5 miles northeast, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, 5 miles from Princeton. So first of all, they were looking for a Princeton address. Okay, they just didn't find it. And then we were talking about the alien craft. The aliens come out of the craft through a hatch. And you said something very funny.
Yeah, there's nothing. Do you remember the broadcast? It sounded like they were, somebody had a jar over a microphone and they're turning the. And I was just thinking, there's nothing that screams alien intelligence to me like the sound of a rusty hinge door opening on a technology that we couldn't possibly imagine.
That's right. And they stopped at Grover's Mills because I've been to the hardware store at Grover's Mills. And in fact, they have WD-40 there.
Water. They needed to displace the water.
Exactly.
From rusty hinges. Nothing screams. That's one place where they dropped the ball.
Yes.
Couldn't we come up with a kind of sound effect, for that? No.
Have you seen, we're going to have to run this in the next show, Seth. There is a video where they're spoofing people. And what they do is a person is walking around in a park and they see that they parked their car. They change the hood out and there's a little satellite, smoking satellite in the new hood on the car that's all burned. So when the person comes back and sees their car, it's been hit by a satellite. Not only that, and they film it. It's a candid camera. That too, candid camera. And not only do they do that, but as the person is reacting, a black van pulls out. 2 guys with headphones and things in black suits get out of the thing and come over, pick up the satellite, which is still smoking, and put it in the back of the van. And they do this to whoever owns the car, and then they drive off. It is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in terms of candid camera spoofing people. If you can see it.
That's a long way to go.
Oh,
I'll tell you, that's a long way to go.
It's amazing. The dedication.
Another long way to go. You want to hear another long way to go?
Sure.
Congressman Representative Mike Kelly asked the Supreme Court to nullify Biden win over Trump in Pennsylvania as he challenges mail-in ballot rule.
Okay, so specifically, what was his rationale for this?
He wants to get it to the Supreme Court.
But that's not going to happen. They have to know that's.
I mean, in order to be, and now remember when Dan Quayle had enough of lawyers.
Dan Quayle. There's a name I forgot.
And remember when Danny Boy had enough of lawyers, and he says, he says to the American Lawyers Association, don't we have enough lawyers? Well, way to go, tone deaf Danny. That's exactly what we need. You know what we need? We need people who are well versed in the law and on governance to be our actual fucking representatives in Congress. Because this guy has no idea about, Section 3 standing. Don't you have to have standing in order to appear before the Supreme Court? Or is the Supreme Court some sort of judicial junta? That this is the way the authoritarian mind works.
Yes.
We're not a nation of laws. For them, we're a nation of laws you have to get around.
Can you imagine being a fly on the wall, Seth, where the justices are sitting around talking about whether they're going to take this case, whether they're going to recognize the validity of this case, each one having their own personal political interests at stake? I mean, this has to be the funniest discussion that has ever been had. Do they think they're going to touch that? You're talking about a hot potato that's a hand grenade, that's the C4 of hot potatoes. Of course, they're not going to touch it. It's much easier just to say the states have ruled. Why would they touch it?
They're not going to touch it.
No.
They're not going to touch it. They're not going to entertain that. They're not going to, first of all, there's no standing for them to, you have to have standing.
Yes.
Imagine, here's the example. Imagine you go to a Red Sox game and imagine that your father-in-law is watching the Red Sox game. And imagine that your mailman is watching the Red Sox game. You get injured by a line drive at the Red Sox game. You may or may not have standing to sue the Red Sox. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing that's been tried and precedent has been set, and the little small print on the back of your ticket says, pay fucking attention. Because the ball may come at you. Pay attention to where the batter is. If you're sitting on the third or first baseline, pay attention. It's a rule of thumb, right?
Yep.
Now, your father-in-law is watching the game at home. He sees you get hit. He is traumatized by that, and he attempts to sue the Red Sox organization. He won't prevail because he lacks standing. Then your mailman, who sees your name on an envelope that he delivers to your house, is watching the game, and he says, "Oh, Jack Churchill, I deliver that guy's mail. How traumatizing for me that Jack has been struck by a ball. I am now going to sue the Boston Red Sox organization." The Donald Trump campaign lawsuits have as much standing as the mailman trying to sue the Red Sox in this example.
Absolutely true. It's extremely funny. It's everything about this guy is comical, Seth. I've got to tell you. Oh, Fiona sent us a smiley.
She's laughing.
I thought that's what it was.
These things that I put up on the screen, they can easily escape our notice.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is going to be very funny when the Supreme Court refuses to take it. Once again, another chip falls off the ice sculpture, slides down over the area where most men have a dick, slides off the end of his stomach. Can you imagine? Let me give you my image of Trump.
If you had a dick like Donald Trump, why would you harass all these women?
I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
Don't
I
you not
imagine.
want women to see?
Yeah, I imagine him sitting on the toilet in the Oval Office bathroom, deciding he wants to see if his dick is still there. But to get to it, he's got to thumb through these layers of fat like it was the New York Yellow Pages. So he's sitting there going, blah, 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 trying to get a look at his dick. I mean, can you that would give anybody a complex, Seth?
This is amazing to me that this is where we lost Jim. We lost Jim at baseball, not Donald Trump fingering the folds of fat so we can discover his dick.
Jim, let me tell you something. He lost me at baseball because as soon as somebody puts a baseball analogy out there, it's like what did they do? It's like they got 300 on both SATs. You know what I mean? I mean, the only thing worse is a football analogy.
I could have. Well, okay, Mr. Princeton boy, I'll do a tennis analogy next time.
Oh, that hurt. That was a low blow.
I'll do a golf analogy for you. Hold on, wait, stop. I'm going to do shuffleboard.
Okay, how about this? Do they have tennis courts in Park Slope?
Of course they do. They
do?
We have access to multiple tennis courts. As a matter of fact, I believe there's badminton and squash as well. Is there a more white sport than squash?
I don't think so. I think you probably sailing.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Anywhere where there's a tremendous financial barrier to entry is the whitest sport. Alex shows us another smiley face, except this is a keyboard smiley face.
Well, he's a tech.
Jimmy says yes, because love means nothing.
See, he nailed it.
But he has no concept of himself. When we have a concept of ourselves, a concept of our own body also goes into that, doesn't it?
I try not to.
Think about that. Donald Trump is a guy who should not be showing up naked anywhere.
Yes.
Anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly in front of women.
Yeah. He's one of those guys that doesn't take his socks off. Polo. Yeah. Oh, shit. Robert.
That's a white sport.
Polo. There's a white sport.
That's a white sport. That is a really white sport.
It really is. So we have sailing. We have squash.
I got to show you this, Jack. This is, speaking about a white sport, I got to read this story to you, and then I've got to show you this guy's picture. I'm going to take down the other picture, and then I'm going to put this up. First, I'm going to show you the picture. Then I will read you the headline. But this guy's face, if this guy's face is not the most European authoritarian, even the jacket that he's wearing in this, it looks like he's a brown shirt in the 1930s. Okay? So the headline, which you're gonna love, the headline is as spectacular as the German dick headline, but it's got a different kind of flavor to it. Okay, so as soon as this guy's face comes up, I'm going to hide us, and we're going to go show his face, and then
I just saw him for a second there.
There he is.
Oh my God! Now who is this? Who is this person?
You ready for this? This guy's name is Joseph with a Z, Josef Zager, Szajer.
Is he Hungarian?
Joseph Zager. Here's the headline. Anti-gay, anti-LGBTQ, anti-gay Hungarian politician has resigned after being caught by the police fleeing a 25-man orgy through a window. a member of the European Parliament representing Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's Fidesz party. And please, Jack, please put a thumbtack in that because we got to come back to it.
Yeah, interesting. And speaking of hypocrisy, Seth,
as resigned from his position in Brussels after he was caught leading what reports describe as a 25-man orgy on Friday. Joseph Sager resigned on Sunday after he admitted to breaching Belgium's strict lockdown rules.
Of course, he didn't have a mask on either.
To attend a sex party.
Okay, so let's talk about Lindsey Graham. Excuse me for a moment.
I got to read the rest of it. The rest of it's brilliant. Politico reported on Tuesday. The police found 25 naked men at the gathering, including this guy and some diplomats. The Belgian newspaper Le Dernier Quer reported. I'm sorry I butchered that. The newspaper quoted local police as saying, "We interrupted a gangbang."
Good. I'm going to leave you for 1 sec, Seth. Keep going, if you can.
Okay, no problem. So, just to recap, this freaking guy here was at an orgy. It's not because Belgium has laws regarding gay orgies. Apparently, you can drink Duvel and have as many gay orgies as you want in Belgium. That's not the problem. The problem is when you do it not wearing a mask and violating curfew. Let's think about this. Is it possible that he was in the orgy wearing a mask? Still breaking the curfew law. Still attending a gathering where there are more people than there should be. But I don't know, kids. Look at this guy's epic beard and Proud Boy haircut. Is this guy not the poster child of the dysfunction of the Proud Boys? Jack, what I just said, Jack, was look at this fucking guy's haircut and beard.
Yeah.
Is he not the poster boy for the Proud Boys?
Yeah, well, not so much for the Proud Boys. He's Stephen Miller. He's more of a Stephen Miller type.
Stephen Miller wishes he had hair like that.
Oh, I know. Well, he paints it on. So let's talk about Martin Bormann.
No, let's talk about Orban, because Orban is one of the he's one of the European dictators who was kind of like a Lukashenko wannabe, the guy in Belarus,
sure,
who was running, an Eastern European dictatorship.
Yep.
Okay, let's do the math and let's talk about what's happening here.
Well, it's interesting.
Let me finish the thought, and I want to get your feedback on it because this is
really
it's a trend. I do. I do.
That's a first.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
So Trump loses the election, and we here in the United States wonder what the impact of that is globally. Then we get this young man fleeing out the back door of this gay orgy, which is emblematic for Republican politics and fascist politics globally.
You're right. It is.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
There's nothing more manly than going to a gay orgy in Brussels. That's who these people really are. They're hiding something about themselves they should be able to live out loud with. As I've said about Lindsey Graham in the past on this show, this guy is the Lindsey Graham of Hungary. There's no reason he shouldn't be in that government, but that government shouldn't be as hardline as it is because it's comprised of people who are like this. They're just closeted. That's my take. Orban is in trouble because global authoritarianism is waning in the aftermath of Trump's defeat. The Putin hand has been overplayed. Mm-hmm. The protests in Belarus demonstrate that global authoritarianism is inconsistent with the communications revolution that we are underway in.
Well put.
Okay.
That's my feedback.
So what do you think is let's not even think about fast forwarding, okay, man? Let's just think about the state of play now with global authoritarianism, given Trump's defeat.
Well, first of all, Hungary is a very interesting country because they have been the leading edge, the point of the sword when it comes to authoritarian anti-immigration. They have been absolutely the leading edge for an authoritarian culture, which is interesting given their place in the Second World War.
Yeah, and is their take on it anti-Muslim, Jack? Is that what drives? Is that what the animus is driven by?
I think that's some of it, but that's an area thing. Whether it's Slovenia or the ex-Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia, for instance. Oh yeah, big time. I think that the interesting place to watch politically usually is France.
Yes,
because France has a very interesting immigration problem with North Africans. Okay. Arabs and Black North Africans.
historically.
Yes, historically. And so this center of égalité, okay, and fraternity has been suffering for years now with this problem.
Same problem we have.
Yes, but we're known as a nation of immigrants. They're not.
No, exactly right. They're known as the birthplace of liberty and culture.
Yes.
They're known as the proprietors of culture.
Yes.
Just as the English are thought of as the proprietors of manners.
And bad food. And
if you have manners, you don't have to cook well.
Okay, just a little aside here. Anybody that hasn't seen Snatch, the Guy Ritchie's film Snatch, has to watch it immediately. It is the most charming, original, wonderfully funny film, black humor, that's ever been made.
1995 called, and it's happy to say everybody has seen Snatch.
I know a lot of people that have never seen it.
Well, those people are savages. We don't need to talk to them.
Okay. Yeah, but you do.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It's the perfect double feature.
It is. It is. Watch Lock, Stock first because that's the first film he made.
Okay. That's a double feature that aged beautifully, by the way, Jack.
Oh. Will forever. It's like a fish called Wanda. It will never get old, like a lot of English film doesn't.
You know what is a double feature that didn't age well? Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
I know.
And Scorsese's After Hours.
I know.
Or how about this? How about this avant-garde double feature? David Lynch's Blue Velvet and Terry Gilliam's Brazil.
Yes, I agree.
Why did they not age well?
For the same reason Ishtar didn't. Just kidding. Sorry. No, Ishtar was such a shit film, but these films were good.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, Seth, that Terry Gilliam is out of his fucking tree. Okay.
I think he's dead, isn't he, Jack?
He may be, but I mean, he was brilliant, but the film business was not ready for him because the film business is economically based and he would throw everything at his productions and it would cost people dearly.
Yeah.
He was a genius, an absolute genius. He used to do all the animation from Monty Python. Those were all his creations, the Flying Circus creations. But he was too much of a genius to survive in an economically driven art form.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, just Terry Gilliam, his time at Monty Python, it had set him up for such tremendous success.
Yep.
And just everybody, we were talking the other day about Doug Kenny offline. On Netflix now, there's a documentary featuring my Facebook buddy, Tony Hendra. And it is a It is a I wouldn't call it a docudrama. It's more of a documentary, but he talks about Doug Kenny and the National Lampoon and how it formed and the impact that they had on American comedy. I mean, at one point, the National Lampoon, after they started their magazine, they had something called the National Lampoon Radio Hour. And in the National Lampoon Radio Hour, they hired as voice actors Gilda Radner, Bill Murray, and Chevy Chase. And then, Doug Kenny, you actually know who Doug Kenny is because the creating force that was behind Animal House and Caddyshack and the National Lampoon magazine was the guy in Animal House that said, "Well, what you gonna do, you moron?" That was Doug Kenny. And, and Patrick rightly points out that Terry Gilliam directed The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. That was a fun film. But, again, kind of like missing the mass market mark. A lot of Time Bandits, those kind of films.
What a great film that is.
Where's the mass market acknowledgement of genius that should have gone with it?
My favorite line that I use on Trumpers occasionally, if I think they're intelligent enough to get it, is from the Time Bandits. And it's in the end where the devil and God are talking to each other, throwing stuff at each other. And one of them says something to the effect of the ravages of superior intelligence is a problem that you happily will never have to face.
Ouch.
It's such a great line.
Ouch. He suffers from delusions of adequacy.
Yes. It's such a great line. It's when Vinnie Jones in Snatch comes up and the two black guys that run the pawnbroker are in the car, and he has the diamond down his pants and he taps on the window with his Desert Eagle.
Yeah.
And he rolls down the window and he says, "The wonderful predictability of stupidity."
Wonderful predictability of stupidity.
And that's the only line I think Vinnie Jones says in the film. And
you mean soccer star Vinnie Jones?
Yeah. Yeah, the killer.
Okay, Jack, we're gonna, it is Christmas time. Yep. And we by the way, is Maggie going to be home in time for Christmas for you?
Yes, I'm hoping that's the case. Maggie, everybody is in California at the moment with Alain and Anya. Anya has had her first baby named Snow Coyote Betrancourt Churchill.
Okay, well, that kid's going to get beaten up in school, but go ahead.
Of course he is, but that makes him tough. It's like calling him Sue.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
anyway.
What they've done there is they've obviously planted a flag in the soil saying we're never moving from the West Coast. That's the most California name I've ever heard.
And in fact, they are going to move when they can, when COVID's cleared up a little, to southern France, probably to Gap, south of Grenoble, on the Route Napoleon, right at the edge of the Alps. So they're leaving the country just like Johan did.
You know what? I think the only possible response is for me to say someone named Snow Coyote Betrancourt Churchill.
Yes, good.
Necessarily has to live in Grenoble.
Yes, I think so too.
And here is the genius of the naming.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Tony. That kid's not Tony Schwartz. Notice she didn't name him Moishe Rabinowitz Churchill.
Bubba Rabinowitz, right?
Bubba Rabinowitz.
So you know how you clear an Italian restaurant, Seth? You come in and you shout, "Tony, your Camaro's on fire."
Jack.
Yes.
There is no more 2020 ornament that you can put on your Christmas tree than this. This is the 2020 Christmas ornament. And just in case you guys thought that it was a static thing, no, that actually has an LED, an LED light, an LED flickering Christmas light. And if you'd like to purchase this LED flickering Christmas light, you can do so on. I'm going to put the link in the comment field under host chat, and you guys can find it there. I think that goes into, unless it's just amongst the hosts, but I can't comment to group. So it says, due to Facebook restrictions, stream pages to chat with your audience. Okay.
Well, this is very good. In the meantime, Seth, as you're working out this technical problem, Patrick says with an exclamation point, 25 5-men orgy, which you may have said. I thought what he was commenting about was, what does a 25-man orgy look like?
Now, Patrick,
don't spend too much.
Aside from 25-man orgies, Patrick just gave us a little breaking news here.
Which is?
Michael Flynn just called upon Trump to declare martial law.
You're fucking kidding.
That's what Patrick says in the comment section. Did you discuss that? I'll put it up again. Michael Flynn just called for Trump to declare martial law. Did you discuss that? Patrick, is there a news source that you can get for us?
Yes, I'm looking right now. It's not on Daily Mail. Okay. And I'll check Huffington.
I got to tell you that I'm not surprised, but if there was any way that there could be more of a reward for Trump pardoning Michael Flynn, asking for martial law.
Yes. Of course, this was discussed, but the news services don't see it yet, Seth.
Well, Patrick is, and then, of course, another one of my predictions may come true, says the Greek. And, of course, as we know, Alex is not only one of the greatest, Patrick says it's on MSN. So if you go to MSN.com right now, my friend, I think we can find it.
Okay, hang on.
So I'm gonna head on over to MSN while we're talking about this too. And Patrick says, suspend the Constitution, declare martial law. Oh, please do that. Please do that. Please do that. There are so many bullets that I have that need to go downrange.
Let's take a look here.
1850 FPS.
This would be the biggest headline, and I don't see it on MSN.
Well, okay, Patrick, my man, if you can paste a link into the comment section, I will pop that bad boy up on the screen and we can all read it together. But news, Michael Flynn asking Donald Trump to declare martial law. Once more, a fantastically telegraphed, ham-handed attempt not to understand the Constitution of the United States of America. And maybe this is, man, read the tea leaves. Maybe this is why Barr said there was no election interference yesterday, because there are just a couple of, we'll try and paste the link. Thank you, Patrick.
You know what this could be, Seth? That this may have referred to something that has been discussed between them at some point, because that's what the news will do. So they will, just to get a headline, they will reference something that happened a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, here we go.
I don't see it. Do you?
The Greek has it. Hold on a sec. And unfortunately, it isn't hot in my frickin' news feed. I can't highlight this link. I can just put it up. And unfortunately, now, if you guys watching the show, is that link interactive or is it just part of a video stream? Because if I go to Facebook and I search for Flynn and martial law, maybe it'll come up under a search criteria on Facebook.
Yeah, I can't get it to come up either here. Oh,
here we go. Raw story.
okay.
And rawstory.com. And this is from, let's see what 4 hours ago. Mike Flynn joins chorus of right-wingers demanding new election overseen by military.
That's
Recently,
more.
Michael Flynn is urging President Donald Trump to suspend the Constitution and declare martial law in an effort to overturn his election loss to Joe Biden. Wow. I guess if you get a pardon, your true colors come out because there ain't shit that nobody can do to you.
Interesting. Trump will stop at nothing to have a shooting war in this country, Seth, because that's the only way he's going to be able to survive.
I got a bunch of people to light up.
Oh, me too. We should remind our viewers, too, that Alex and you and I, and I'm sure everybody else, are armed to the teeth.
Well, okay. And we should also remind our viewers that we are not in any way, shape, or form advocating taking up arms against your fellow citizens.
Absolutely not.
What we are advocating is protecting yourself from your fellow citizens.
That's exactly right. Which we never really thought, Seth, that we would be in this position.
Don't come to Jacktown. Bad things are going to happen if we catch you. Yep. I got a basement, and it's soundproof.
Yeah, no, we never in our wildest dreams thought that the war that Trump would start would be internal. We always thought it would be.
We've been observing Trump's internal war.
But I'm talking about shooting war, that it would be on American soil, not with Syria or Iran.
Hey, buddy boy, if you're a black person, it's already a shooting war.
Yeah, I know. I am aware. I wonder if our dear friend, I wish she'd watch.
You mean our former, well, let's not say any names, okay? You mean our former FBI analyst?
Yes.
Friend?
Oh, she's such a doll. I wish she'd chime in. If she's watching, would you please tell us you're watching, because we adore you.
Let's not say her name, because she is now a local legislator or a state legislator. Or is trying to get elected to political position, and two crazy bastards like us advocate for lighting up your neighbor. It's probably not what her opponent should have access to.
And she's the one that pointed out originally me when I said, "Oh, you guys must have had a file on everybody," and she said, "Oh no, we just look at Facebook."
Why would you bother going out and gathering information?
So what does Jimmy say? So Trump was an NRA conspiracy to get liberals to buy guns.
It's a good question, Jimmy.
I don't even know how to take that.
Well, I mean, you take it the way, does the NRA have a philosophy about all Americans owning guns and that's the right way to go? Or reality, does the NRA have a political objective, which is conservative and authoritarian?
Well,
so the answer, I would say no. As a matter of fact, Jim, I think we can have evidence that would support that the answer is no. The NRA only supported gun control in one point in their history ever, and that's when the Black Panthers started buying automatic weapons.
So, Seth, what I'm thinking here, since everything's money-driven, I would say in the last couple of years that almost a majority of gun buyers have been liberals. Before that was always the conservatives. I think I know people myself, liberals that really would.
New gun buyers.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And the handgun industry itself has done a great job of making handguns accessible. A great job. If you look at the Glock platform, the Glock 19, the Glock 17 platform, if you look at that platform, because it's a center fire, it's a rimfire weapon. It doesn't have a hammer. Mm-hmm. And what happens is the amount of recoil that happens when you fire a Glock or a Glock clone is infinitely less. Mm-hmm. So rather than the barrel popping up and popping up and popping up, the barrel the barrel stays on target relatively easily.
That's true.
Not much recoil, and it's much easier to fire a 9mm Luger ammo now than it ever has been.
Sure. Now the interesting
easier to use. It's like that. The Glock refinements are to handguns as large-headed drivers are to the golf world.
Thank you. A golf analogy. I'm sure we could make a baseball one. So the thing about the Glock that's interesting is when you shoot it, when it cocks, the barrel goes up like this.
Yep.
It literally, you see it jump up like this. And that's why to put a silencer on it, you have to have a special device, modified silencer, because the barrel goes like this every time with the slide. I hate that guns make so much noise. If they were quieter, I'd have more of them. They're just so damn noisy.
Well, I mean, they figured out a way to, we always think of retroactive birth control as being a kinetic solution. It's not. It's not necessarily
the morning after pill.
Yeah, no, and they figured out a way to lower this population. I don't know very many kids that are, there's a widespread access to birth control, and I don't know very many kids that are actually kind of like dating. This age of COVID has been like, all your sexual stimulation comes through your screens, and you don't really need to be next to the other person that bad if it's going to cost you your life. So we've got a big population dip coming in the coming decade.
I agree. And once again, Seth, when you talk about technology, when virtual reality sex really gets gets going, it's going to be even more so, just like it is virtual reality would be for everything else. Sex will be included. My brother once thought 30 years ago, he said that in the future, everybody's going to need a suit to put on if they're going to have sex.
Yeah.
Which is very prophetic.
I think it's called a hepatic suit. Anybody in the comment field know what a hepatic suit is, or it's a suit with it's what they had in Ready Player One. Was the futuristic movie in which that was employed. But of course, that's available technology that's coming, soon. It's just an expression of
Seth,
things now.
We've hit an hour and a half, so let's save some stuff for Friday.
All right, hold on just 1 second. I want to make sure that there's nothing that I wanted to get through. Now, Patrick and Martha and everybody, thank you for alerting us to the wonderful Michael Flynn story that we closed this show with.
That's amazing.
We're going to start with that kind of thing, I think, on Friday, and maybe we will have a couple of photos from Jack's portraiture section. And I'd like to ask our viewers, if we could, would you mind terribly thinking about a 2020 signature dish? If you could cook a signature dish that was emblematic of the year 2020, what is it that would be? And don't think of like a shit sandwich. Yeah, let's be a little bit more creative than that. I want you to do the kind of work that I have done in creating my signature 2020 dish that I would like to share with you all now. I'm going to end the show with the 2020 signature dish that I created as a challenge thrown down by our friends at Put That On Your Plate. Anthony Mellum started a Facebook group called Put That On Your Plate. And I am going to close the show with this video and inspire you to think about which 2020 dish you would like to. Mine is called Pasta a la 2020. It is a hot dog. Well, you can see me in my pajamas making it. I'm going to go off screen. I'll end the show. This is Seth and Jack signing off. And This is Pasta a la 2020.
Good God. Okay. Since I've been challenged, and we are neither cowards nor are we savages. Today we will be making the hot dog pasta challenge. Thank you, Anthony, so much for this lunchtime challenge. We're going to use Hebrew National Bun-Length beef dogs, not all of them. We're going to use Locatelli grated Romano cheese, and we're going to use the really ridiculous purchase that I made, the Rayo's as if it's better. The Rayo's pasta imported from Italy, bronze die cut linguine. I'm not using spaghetti. And some fresh Italian, of course, flat leaf parsley. We don't use curly leaf parsley. Curly leaf parsley makes my hair hurt and makes me break out in hives. Okay, I'm going to put this all together, show you before and after, and then actually eat it. Back in a flash. Okay, so here is a hot dog speared with spaghetti in an old Wagner liquor pot that I bought at a yard sale. And here's my boiling water. And I'm about ready to get going boiling this. Glad we also have time for a little product review here. The Rayo's pasta, linguine, did not hold up well in the realm of beef frankfurter spearing. So if your plans are to spear your Rayo's linguine through any kind of forced meat, I would recommend maybe something softer like a pâté de foie gras. And because this is kind of like a batshit crazy recipe, and hot dogs, so we're going to use a cream sauce with Grey Poupon, and then some organic, unpasteurized, fancy whipping cream from Beth's Market with some Cabot salted butter, a little turkey stock, parsley, and cheese. See if I can get that to thicken up. And I'm going to pour that over the hot dog pasta that you dared me to make and eat for lunch. You bastard. Okay, the pasta dogs are out of the water, and they are thoroughly cooked. Here is the sauce that I've been working on in the aforementioned liquor pot. And what I did was I cheated, and I used a little bit of cornstarch to thicken this up, because this is the most trailer park recipe in the history of recipes, done with good ingredients, or quality ingredients, or whatever the fuck you want to call this catastrophe. Alright, so let's pour this sauce over our pasta, toss it a little bit, coat it with parsley, which I've already cut, and then see what that looks like. And here is our finished product. Open to names, put it in the comment field. And I'll put in the comment field just how repulsive this was. But I'm not going to waste food. I'm going to eat this whole thing. Okay. Pasta a la 2020, the most 2020 pasta dish ever. Finished.